It is time for our final Atlanta Falcons 7-round mock draft with the 2023 NFL Draft kicking off tomorrow. Welcome into Falcons Today by Chatsports. Matthew Peterson here, combing through every selection Atlanta has between rounds 1 and round 7. And before we even get to Atlanta being on the clock at number 8, we made a trade. I think this has a very real possibility of happening. I know the Falcons want to move back, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Tennessee Titans want to jump forward and grab their QB for the future. So here is the trade we made with new GM in Tennessee, Rand Carthon. The Falcons and the Titans swap first-round picks this year, 8 and 11. Atlanta picks up the Tennessee Titans' early second-round pick this year, number 41. And in exchange, we send over some fourth-round picks to sweeten the pot to get a number 2 pick in this upcoming draft. This is what the PFF Mock Draft Simulator had a trade looking down. Now, I like this hypothetical trade. I would go as far as to say I love this hypothetical trade. You move back 3 spots, and there's a good chance, and I mean a very good chance, the player you were going to pick at number 8 is there at number 11. There are really 2 guys that I think make a lot of sense for Atlanta. So if you want to get them, you might as well move back some spots and pick up a second rounder as well. Now, of course, if Tyree Wilson or Christian Gonzalez is there, that changes things. But as it's trending right now, I'm not even confident that Christian Gonzalez will be available for Atlanta at number 8. So make sure to subscribe, by the way, before we look and see who our number 11 now selection is, because we are going to keep you guys in the loop for every single draft pick Atlanta makes. So don't miss any analysis or breakdown on all the mock draft, or the real draft selections. Now, let's look at our number 11 selection. After making a deal, we got Bijan Robinson. So Bijan Robinson might be this year's Vontae Mack. Producer Rolly threw this in at the last second and wanted to see my live reaction. You can dread it. You can run from it. Bijan will arrive. Listen, there is a lot of smoke about the Falcons actually drafting Bijan Robinson beyond Kevin Costner and Draft Day. All-time movie, by the way, where the Cleveland Browns GM walks away with a running back and an off-ball linebacker in the top 10. So quite a choice, but Atlanta gets Bijan at number 11, and he's way better than that Florida State running back. Bijan right now is the favorite as we get back on track for number 8 at plus 250. There's a ton of smoke of, you know what? The Falcons, they like Tyler Algier. He was a 5th-round pick last year, and he rushed for 1,000 yards, but damn it, Bijan Robinson is a generational player, and if everyone else on their draft board, if Gonzalez and Witherspoon and Tyree Wilson are all gone, and they can move back some spots and pick up a second rounder and land a generational talent, well, I think Terry Fontenot might end up doing that. You look at what he's done the last 2 seasons, I'm not going to stand here and tell you anything new about Bijan Robinson. We all know at this point how special of a back he is. I don't want to say he is bust-proof, but he is essentially bust-proof. He's sort of like, Christian McCaffrey in Leonard Fournette's body, if that's a good comp. He has all the receiving tools you also look for in a running back. He is tough to bring down between the tackles. He is great outside. He's got phenomenal burst. He can pass block. He can do it all. Bijan Robinson is the total package. And I know that taking a running back in round 1 usually comes back to haunt you, but is it taking a running back in round 1 that haunts you, or is it overpaying them? You take him in round 1, you get 5 years of rookie control. Whoever the quarterback is in the future, they will love having Bijan Robinson in the backfield. I know that Super Bowl blueprints don't usually revolve around having a top-tier running back, but right now I'm thinking Terry Fontenot's looking around thinking, do I want a home run pick, or do I want a solid double or even triple with Bijan Robinson? You want to go for the home run or strikeout, or you want to go with the surefire thing that's Bijan Robinson? Wouldn't be shocked if Fontenot goes the safer path. So be honest with me. If the Falcons draft Bijan Robinson on Thursday, how are we feeling? What is the morale like? I know that opinions are all over the place, and I like our BYU Tyler Algier Prince, but Bijan's just different, guys. I don't know how else to say it. He's not quite Derrick Henry. He's not Tractor Cito, but he is Christian McCaffrey in maybe Derrick Henry's legs or something like that. He is just that rare of a player to come across. Now, speaking of Thursday and day one of the NFL Draft, we will be live for all 3 days of the draft. Yours truly will be over at our mothership breaking down every single pick. So come hang out with producer Rolly and I over at our main channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Now, after making that trade back with Tennessee and scooping up their second-round pick, we go Josh Downs out of UNC with pick 41. Downs is an absolute stud. He plays way bigger than his size. He's awesome in the slot, which would complement Drake London so well, as you have London on the outside as an X receiver, and you move Josh Downs on the inside. There is no reason for Desmond Ridder or any quarterback to not be successful in an offense with Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and now Josh Downs. Here are his stats over the past 2 seasons. 1,000-yard receiver in consecutive years, 19 touchdowns altogether through 24 games. The guy is just, in my opinion, one of the best receivers in this draft class. He might not have the size to be a round 1 player, but he is going to be a very good football player, I think, for a long time. When we also take into account that the Falcons need to add receivers, Josh Downs as a best player available and a good pick for need at 41 really just checks all the boxes here. The Falcons need to find a wide receiver on day 2 of the draft. They're likely, I can almost say confidently, not going to go wide receiver in round 1 at pick 8. The only way I see them taking a wide receiver in round 1 is if they fall from 8 to let's say the Vikings jump up, okay, and they want to go get Anthony Richardson. Well, maybe if somehow Zay Flowers is there at the late 20s, Atlanta goes, we just can't pass on that type of player. But the point being is the Falcons need to add a wide receiver in round 2, and Josh Downs, he's our guy. Then, with their own pick at number 44, I'm going to select Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami. So, Tyreek Stevenson, the cornerback here, would be a home run pick in the second round. You have Jeff Okudah, you have A.J. Terrell. Okudah's a bit of a science project in that we're not quite sure what the end result will be, but at one point he was a top 5 pick in the draft. Stevenson is a nasty corner. He is very physical at the line of scrimmage. He is going to make life miserable for opposing wideouts. He might not be the fastest guy in this draft class, but he is a darn good physical corner who you could use in man. You could toss him in zone. He definitely needs to work on some tackling here or there, but that's fine. That's what you pay NFL coaches to do. Now, I want to know from everyone watching right now, what position is more of a need for Atlanta? If, let's say, they don't go wide receiver, let's say they go Bijan in round 1, who do you want them targeting first in round 2? Wide receiver or cornerback? Sound off in the comment section. Moving along here in our mock draft, in round 3 at 75, we finally get the Falcons and another edge rusher, Isaiah McGuire. Now, this is a sneaky pick that has a very high ceiling, one of those great athletes, awesome traits, stuff that GMs drool over. It's just the production level wasn't quite there in Columbia. Last season for the Auburn Tigers, 40 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks. Not bad numbers by any stretch of the imagination. McGuire has great size. It's what you look for. Not quite sure. I think he'd be an outside linebacker, but I wouldn't be shocked if a team tries to kick him to a 5-technique defensive end on third downs or something for an obvious passing situation. Listen, I probably would have liked to have gotten an edge rusher earlier, but I think Terry Fontenot feels pretty confident about his pass rushing unit that he built in free agency, so he might prioritize other spots in the draft. Moving on to our next pick here, it's a long fall, and looking back at it, that trade might be a bit interesting because you go from round 3 all the way to round 7, but maybe they make some more trades and get back into earlier day 3. So O'Shawn Mathis is next up as we take a long fall from 3 to 7. Listen, O'Shawn Mathis in round 7 would be a steal. He was with TCU for quite some time. He led them in sacks like 2 years ago. He was putting up great numbers. Ultimately, it's just one of those pieces where not quite sure what his fit is in the NFL. Now, I can believe that their new defensive coordinator, Ryan Nielsen, who was the defensive line coach for New Orleans, could find some good spots for a guy like O'Shawn, who just needs to hone in his craft and find a designated role on an NFL roster. He would likely be rotating. I mean, we're talking about a 7th rounder here, so he's not coming in and starting day one over any of these guys, of course, but he could be a rotational piece, and who knows? Calais Campbell's on a 1-year deal. David Onyemata is probably not a future Falcon for long, outside of maybe 2-3 seasons or whatever, so this could be a spot to think ahead here. Now, O'Shawn Mathis transferred from TCU to Nebraska. He actually got some big NIL money, interesting enough. 3.5 sacks last year, so a big dip in productivity. But 2 years ago, he put up 10 sacks with TCU. I like the upside of O'Shawn Mathis. Also, it's a Key and Peele name, so how can we not take it? Then in round 7 at pick 225, Jake Witt, offensive tackle from Northern Michigan University. And then to round out this mock draft, Caleb Chandler, a guard out of Louisville. So I went back-to-back offensive linemen in this mock draft. Jake Witt, one time a basketball player, then made the change to football, went to tight end, went to left tackle. Raw physical tools, awesome size. He just has not played much football. Now, when you look at the Falcons' offensive line, the only spot that's up for grabs, I think, going into training camp is left guard. I think Drew Dahlman's got a pretty good hold on the center position. Everyone else is more or less locked into their spots. So maybe you want to think for a new rotational 6-man swing tackle. But more importantly, it's round 7, ladies and gentlemen. These are all long shot players, and you're just looking for traits and size and speed and strength, and you hope your coaches can get the best out of them. Long shot, maybe Chandler could play at left guard. I mean, we are talking round 7 players here. If anyone tells you round 7 guys are going to be a difference maker, they've got beachfront property for you also in Oklahoma. Like, yes, you have your Julian Edelmans every once in a while, or Brock Purdy for that matter. But no, I can't stand here definitively and say these are going to be make or break players for the Falcons en route to a Super Bowl in 2023. We're just looking for good size, good speed, good strength, and let the coaching staff get the talent out of them. So grade our final Falcons mock draft. I know it's a bit unique, going from rounds 3 all the way to 7, nothing from 4, 5, or 6, and maybe some trades could happen to fill that gap. But hey, ultimately, you got to go and pick up a second-round pick after moving back some spots. So you got a lot of quality players here. Bijan Robinson, day 1 starter. Josh Downs, day 1 starter. Tyreek Stevenson. I think him and Jeff Okudah could compete for the CB2 job. The loser might be the nickel corner. So in other words, another day 1 starter. Isaiah McGuire, have to see where he is. Is he a 5 technique? Is he an outside linebacker, a stand-up edge rusher? Maybe not a day 1 starter, but a good pick for the future. And then our 3 7th-round picks, O'Shawn Mathis, he actually might have a legit shot of playing meaningful football for a team, even as a 7th-round pick or a UDFA priority signing. So that is our mock draft for Atlanta. Give me your grades down below in the comments section. We prioritize quality over quantity here. Yeah, 4th and 5th-round picks are cool and all. But you know what's cooler? Josh freaking Downs and Tyreek Stevenson. So we're locked in for a quality draft here for Atlanta.